we're live. Yes.
You doing good?
So you're on vacation trip,
Yeah, I slept all down there Saturday, Sunday.
so this good on the space?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Good. Y'all had Michael upset.
Yeah, that's what we would do. We would mess with him all the time.
I knew y'all had good.
We'd make him walk out that meal directly.
You want to be on that crew, huh? That's,
Yeah, he won't go with it. We go, he thinks he got to be there.
Y'all had him, you live.
Yeah, we did.
so I got 3 more minutes left. Right?
Talking smooth and mighty slow.
Oh, yeah.
Set the weight on it, Will.
Stand for prayer, please. Lord, we thank you. Thank you for your goodness. Thank you for your darling son, Jesus. We ask your blessing, Father, as we go through this meeting your son mercy again. Thank you for how you've taken care of us from the rock of our cradle to the present time. Thank you right now, Father, for these that you represent. Father, it is our duty to serve, and we serve it graciously. We bless your name because your name is worthy to be blessed. We thank you for Jesus because Jesus died and he rose on the third day that we might have a right to the tree of life. Father, shape our minds, shape our hearts, and forgive us now as only you can do and you will do. We thank you for what you've done thus far. We thank you for what you're going to do in the future. And bless your name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for being here. But in an effort to protect the public and the Board of County Commissioners, the conference line has been set up to accommodate community access to the meeting. Conference line number is 1-917-900-1022. Access code is 32347 #. This is not a toll-free number, and you may be subject to long-distance charges according to your long-distance plan. When the chairperson opens the meeting for public comment, please follow below instructions. Please dial 5. The moderator will unmute your line when it's your turn to speak and notify you by announcing the last 4 digits of your telephone number. Please announce your name and address. You will be allowed to speak in 3 minutes. This meeting will also be live streamed on the Taylor County Board of County Commissioners Facebook page. If you wish to view the meeting on Facebook, you must have a Facebook profile. Search under the Taylor County BOCC and you can view the meeting at 6 p.m. The Facebook live stream will not be monitored for questions or comments. Please call the conference call number if you wish to speak. Thank you for that. And if you wish to speak, we will hear you. You will go. I reckon the first thing we need to accept this agenda. Do I have a motion to accept this agenda? You don't?
We don't vote on anything.
Okay, all right. Chair, we go to Chair Patton, discuss operation.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to take just a minute, I won't take up a lot of your time. I do want to welcome and thank the new commissioners on board. Jamie, Commissioner, thank you for taking time to serve our county. Mr. Newman, Commissioner Newman, thank you, sir, for your service and being interested in trying to help us with our county. I know y'all know what's going on with our federal government about the mandate that's coming down the line on our payroll system. And it's gonna affect everybody. It's not gonna just affect one person, one entity. It's everybody. All constitutional officers are gonna be affected by it. It's already affecting us. Our law enforcement as a career choice is currently very unpopular right now due to the national news and what you see on the news and what the police departments of our nation is going through. They see that fewer people are applying to the law enforcement job related to field because they repeatedly see what law enforcement is going through, and they just don't want to be a part of that anymore. And it's starting to show up a lot, even out here in our rural county. Taylor County right now, the sheriff's office, 3 divisions, including patrol, jail, and dispatch, we have 6 vacancy positions in our deputy field. We got 4 vacancies in corrections, and we got 2 in dispatch. So we're not in a complete crisis, but I see one coming, and I'm gonna ask the board to help me. We fixing need some help. All 3 of these divisions require members to be willing to work long hours and deal with extreme levels of stress, and you know what I'm talking about. So with that, we want to keep good quality law enforcement. If you're gonna keep good people, you've got to pay them. Now, we stood here back when I was on patrol, we had 7 years. We didn't get a cost of living raise, we didn't get nothing. We held the line, we toed the toe, we kept it going. Now, we didn't back up and try to fix that. It's been right along. I come along, I got on board, y'all asked me to take a 2.5% cut to balance the budget, and I did. So far, we've made it work. Now, it's time for us to step up, and let's pay our deputies, let's pay our county employees like we should be paying them. If we don't, we're gonna wind up, we're gonna find ourselves in some serious situations. We need, and we've got to have quality people in law enforcement. We started deputy out at $36,465, that's our starting pay. That's what we started out at. Okay, you don't know what the city starts their police department out at. Highway patrol starts out for $10,000 to $12,000 difference a year in starting salary between our three agencies that we have to deal with. We're losing people right and left highway patrol, we're losing some people to the city, we got two that lately just went over to the city. And it's all about the money, it's all boiled down to being money.
Wait, excuse me for just a minute. Did you say with the police, the city police and the highway patrol, they make $10,000 more?
They start them out more, yes ma'am, right at 10,000.
At 10.
Right at 10, I got it. But anyway, this is where the rubber meets the road for us. We've got to do something. I've done everything I could to help the county board. Now I'm asking the board to help me. We don't want to sit around with our head in the sand until it comes up and there's nothing we can do and it's too late. Let's look ahead. I'm asking y'all to help me. We've got to get these people some more money and try to move forward and keep good quality help on our staff. On all our county staff, not just our law enforcement. But we need quality people everywhere we go. So I'm asking y'all, let's move forward. You have to raise the millage rate, we got to raise the millage rate. I ain't gonna win the popularity contest by saying that. We gotta raise taxes, we gotta do something. Let's don't sit here till we go broke and don't have any money to pay our people with. So that's where I'm at today. I'm asking y'all for some help. I try to give every year, I give y'all money back the best I could. And we've had a good working relationship, we're gonna continue to have one, we're gonna do what we gotta do. But I need some help to help our people, and that's what I'm asking the board. Let's get our heads together and do what we gotta do to keep our county safe. Now, we took some drugs off the street the other day, I can't give y'all the details, because this is the way it is right now. Starting to take meth, they're mixing fentanyl in it, they're mixing fentanyl with marijuana. We made 2 arrests, and it was just awful. You just don't want to see nothing like that. This stuff drives these people crazy. It's gonna continue to get worse, and pouring it now since they opened the borders over in Mexico. They've had it stockpiled over there for the last year, waiting on them to open up the borders. And it's pouring in like you wouldn't believe. And the DEA, which comes from the federal, told us, he don't get ready for it. He said, I went over there, and I looked and I see it. He said, it's stockpiled. So our drug problem looks like it's gonna continue to get worse as they come up mixing what, I don't know what they mix, poison, it's unreal what they put in these drugs. We have to go fight these people. We got to have good people, make good, solid, honest decisions to go out and do what we need done. If you disagree, tell me you disagree. But you're gonna get what you pay for. And we've got to have some good quality people. I need y'all to help me get our pay scale up.
What are you looking for?
I got y'all a letter right here, I put it in your packet. I'd like for you to take the time to read that, when you by yourself or whenever you want to read it. It explains everything right down with a 10% increase. That still would put us on a level playing field with these other agencies.
How many officers do you have on the force now?
We have 90 employees altogether.
He's talking about officers.
I'm talking about everybody, I'm talking about the whole department.
The whole department's around
And we
90.
try to keep 16 deputies on the road. You know, 4 on each shift, we're down to 6 right now. We got 10 out on the road.
With what you got here with that, add on to.
Yeah, that'll help us get started, 10% will help us get started.
I got you.
We gotta do something. So, Y'all think about it, talk about it, it's coming, we ain't nothing we can do about it, the minimum wage is gonna be $15 an hour. That's coming, we know it's coming, it's gonna hit us right side of the head if we don't get ready for it.
That's an issue that we're gonna be dealing with pretty soon when we start our budget
It's coming,
considerations. It's gonna hit us
I
really,
know it is.
really
Yes,
hard.
ma'am.
You know, and we always have helped you every way we could,
Y'all have,
and,
and I'll help y'all every way I can.
and it's been.
And I'm not trying to interrupt you, I wanna continue to do that. But go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, so, you know, and I think we've always strove to do everything that we can. And, so, and what you've said is true, we need, good qualified deputies that's gonna, stay here. Now, what about, homegrown, for lack of a better word?
I know what's, and I have tried, and I'm still doing that, Gino can attest to that. I've got people, I took them out of jail, put them in school, I got 2 in there right now, I think we'll stay here, we get them on the road, get them on patrol. Yeah, I would a lot rather hire somebody that lives in this county, been in this county, got roots in this county, or they're just not stepping up, coming up, wanting to go to work.
They more likely maybe to stay here if they're from here.
I
Do
agree.
y'all try to recruit, from the school, the senior classes and?
We go everywhere, we go to Lake City, to their school over there, to Madison over there. Yeah, we try to recruit, I prefer to recruit right here. Another thing I'm gonna try to do to combat that is I'm starting an Explorer program with our schools from junior high on up. Maybe we can get, some of them to come on board after.
When do you think you'll do that?
Pardon?
When do you think you'll do that?
Well, we had it going good, keep all the COVID hit and everything just kind of froze down, but we still got it in the makings. We're gonna parallel it with the JROTC program. And, maybe by that, we can get some deputies that will come to work, stay here, we're trying to do our part. Believe me, we're doing our part.
How do we compare with surrounding counties? Are they paying, other sheriff's departments, they outpaying us for their employees?
This real close, some of them a little less, some of them a little more. There's no big gap between that. They're having the same issues we are.
Same issue.
Everybody's having the same problem. And what I see it getting worse. That's the reason I want to step up now, say something about it, let's address it, and let's do something before we find ourselves in a crisis. Because none of us can afford to be without good law enforcement.
Well, you're the budget person.
Well,
And you are. So, see what you can find.
If I could clarify that, it looks like you're saying that restoring the 159,548 would give you about half of what you need to give the city.
that's 2.5% cut we took.
Right.
And balance the budget.
So it looks like you're looking for about $320,000 in order to raise everyone's salary. Now, that's not just law enforcement, is that
No.
everyone?
That's everybody.
Okay.
Because we got $50 an hour system coming, you know that's coming.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like this right here, if one gets it, everybody gets it, don't go pick one person out, give them a larger raise or a raise and don't give it to everybody. That ain't right, but I don't go along with that at all. These people go to the same grocery store you go to, the same grocery store I go to, the same gas pump. And for them not, one to get the raise and the other not to get a raise, I feel the same with the county employees that drive the dump trucks and fix these roads and graze these roads. If one gets it, I'm for everybody to get it. I just don't like to pick one, group out and treat them any better. We all in this thing together. We all need some help right now. And this issue, y'all the head of this operation, so. If y'all don't help me, I ain't gonna have no help.
Okay.
And I appreciate y'all, I do appreciate y'all, the working relationship we've had in the past. We've all stepped up and back for one another. I think Mr. Wanda attested that.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna continue to do that, whatever the outcome is. But, it's gonna be, if we don't do something now, we're gonna find ourselves in a crisis we can't get out of. And I don't wanna get like that.
These numbers, Dwayne, it's gonna get you out of this But this includes maybe what y'all give back this past year, is that?
Well, no, that 159 is the budget cut, they come in and ask to take a 5%, y'all went on board at the time, anyway, we settled on 2.5%, we took it, we went forward, and we got the grants, we did everything we can, all said it, we did it. And then we were still able to get y'all some money back. Let's get them now, we got to get our employees and get our people up to standards, and we're gonna keep good people.
How's it looking? I know for the past couple of years that I can remember, you've given back quite a bit of money that was used, in part for employee Christmas bonuses. How much was that? 300 or?
Well, not only get three right up, we gonna get 250 one time, and two, and then the first year I was in office, I give just a little over 100.
Okay.
But I had to get time to get the years old and get money to help come in and try to offset where I could do that. We work vigorously to do that. Gina can attest to that, because she catches the rough end of that sometimes.
So if we can do what we can do, and if, I don't know what we're gonna be able to do, we're gonna do everything we can, but if we can't, does your budget look like that you'll have some of that money that you might could dip into?
That's possible, to spend it rather than give it back to y'all. That's possible, that's what it's gonna come to. And I know you're gonna do what you can, I believe you, but I'm saying right now, this is where the rubber meets the road, get ready. You follow what I'm saying? Don't wait too late, that's what I'm asking you, don't sit around and wait too late till we can't do anything. Let's get prepared. We've gotta raise taxes, them services that people want, they want these services. And y'all know our county, go look at Steve Hatch, when they finish that marina down there, that's gonna change that whole community right there. That's gonna be a whole entity by itself, a whole division of law enforcement that's gonna have to stay down there. If they want these services, we've gotta pay for it, it's gotta be paid for. Roads gotta be, it's gotta be done, that's all there are to it. If you run a business, you sit there and don't go up on your prices, I reckon you'll be out of business. Because you don't have the money to fix your equipment, or you don't have nothing to buy nothing, when you out of gas, because you didn't stay up in times. So I'm asking y'all to take into consideration 7 years that we sat there and didn't get anything. Let's try to get that fixed. Let's try to get that 2.5% cut fixed. Let's get it back. Whatever we got to do. Okay. And I do appreciate y'all.
We appreciate you too.
I appreciate old Conrad. I mean, old Conrad go way back a lot of years. Don't say.
It's always old Conrad.
Old Conrad. Thank y'all, okay?
Thank you.
Y'all be careful out there, y'all be careful.
We will.
Number 4. We got Sidney Bingham, Berger Zimmerman.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening. My name is Sid Bingham. I'm here on behalf of Iron Horse Mud Bog. And I just wanted to come in and be here today to give you guys some history and background and to give you all an update. I know Commissioner Fiegel had asked us to work on a neighborly solution among the neighbors to try to work on the mud bog questions. And I'm happy to report to y'all that we have been working really diligently on that. And I'm cautiously optimistic we're going to get there. Having said that, I wanted to give you some history and give you some details, because I think there were questions that were raised even after we got done with the official conversation last time. And I wanted to give you all a little bit of perspective on some of this and just give you some background, and also be here and provide y'all with an opportunity to ask me any questions you guys may have so that I can help clarify the situation for you. So thank you for the opportunity to be here. My clients, Todd and Carrie Larson, bought the Iron Horse Mud Bog property back in 2017. It was actually Christmas Day. And their son, Jacob, works for them now and plans to be a family continuation of that legacy. These are folks who are putting their roots down in Taylor County and have a lot to offer the community. I want to tell you a little bit of history. When they bought the mud bog, it had started to develop a little bit of a reputation, and it wasn't the best reputation. So here's some things that they did to try to improve. no nighttime riding, enforce that for safety purposes. They've hired a private security company with about 18 to 20 security personnel on staff. That's not including sheriff, EMS, or Iron Horse staff or firefighters that they keep on the property during events. They got a zero tolerance policy on fighting. Somebody fights, they're out. Staffing, Todd and Carrie have earned the respect of the patrons in the community by being present at each event, being visible, and actively enforcing the rules themselves as the owners. This is different than what the previous owner had been doing. He wasn't very present in the community. There are two sheriffs on site at all times, 3 to 4 full-time EMS responders with an ambulance and an EMS camper. There's 4 Taylor County firefighters with a fire truck present on site. They improve security screening, better screening, thorough checks, remove glass bottles, remove the weapons. Weapons are checked in at the front with the tag, can be picked up on their way out. Todd and Carrie are committed to this community, and you can see that reflected in the community service that they've engaged in. They clean the highway, both sides, 2 miles in each direction after each event. They've hosted Marine Combat Outdoors once a year, which is a service for military veterans. They had a community Santa Claus, free and open to all the children over Christmas when that couldn't have been done. They recently purchased 2 Jumbotrons from the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. They're putting those on the property, and they plan to have kids' movie nights free to children in the community. Point of Grace Christian School has a free fun day for kids out on the property. They've got local kids coming out there making music videos. They are making themselves available for the betterment of the children of the community and for the betterment of the community as a whole. Todd and Carrie are active. Todd's a member of the Elks Lodge, and they participated in the Forest Fest, and they even moved one mud bog. So in conflict with that, these folks are invested in this community. And what they're asking for is to have full support of the community, including you all. We're not asking for anything specific today. We're hopeful we're going to reach some settlement agreements with the neighbors who've had some trouble. But I wanted to be able to present to you what we're talking about and the caliber of people we're talking about here. These are good folks who are invested in your community, who are putting roots down, and they're here to help. Now, that's just the intangible benefits. The economic benefits by the local Chamber of Commerce estimated that $3.3 million comes into Taylor County per event. Y'all know that. That was their estimate. We just heard the sheriff saying that they desperately need additional financing. Let's support the mud bog, realize those tax revenues. They pay property taxes, and let's help your sheriff that way. This is a potential solution to the problem y'all just heard about. And that money, that $3.3 million, does not include the money made by the park. It doesn't include by the money, it's money spent in Taylor County for the event. It doesn't include employees' wages. It doesn't include EMS, fire, security, or sheriff's wages, or their property taxes, which they pay, of course. Now, timing is critical. October's coming up. Realize that people come from around the world to Taylor County for these events. Around the world, y'all. They're taking vacation time from their jobs. They're making hotel and motel reservations, and they're planning to come to Taylor County. Todd and Carrie cannot announce an October event for these folks, only to have it canceled and have the rug pulled out from under them at the last minute. That's what happened with the last event. The county lost out on all kinds of revenue. Todd and Carrie's event was canceled. There are people from around the world who are furious that the event was canceled. There was backlash on social media about that. Todd and Carrie are committed to being neighborly and working with their neighbors. They're not interested in mudslinging against anybody. They're interested in working with their neighbors, being good neighbors, being good members of the community, and trying to make sure that they can run their business for the benefit of everybody. That's their goal. But the timing is critical, and the promotion for the October event is going to happen. It needs to begin now. I've communicated that to the attorneys for some of the folks who are potentially in opposition here. Right now, we only have one person who has revoked their waiver. And we are working very closely with his attorneys and working with that family's attorneys and working with them to come to a reasonable solution to make sure that everybody's interests are protected within reason. What we don't want to end up with is if you give a mouse a cookie situation, where people see that there's big money coming in from an event and they think they can ask for more and more and more different things. What we want to do is be reasonable and be good neighbors. And that's what we're endeavoring to do, as has been requested by all in the commission and reasonably so. Now, if we could pull up the first aerial, perfect.
That one or the?
Right here, this is the one. So this is going to show you about a 660-foot buffer from the inner edge of the event space. The event space on the Iron Horse property is basically all of the unforested area that you see sort of in the central zone here in the green, going off to the left a little bit and down into the southwest. That gives you a good visual representation of what the event space is under your ordinance that requires this waiver. Where it says on there in green, it says waivers obtained, that was from the last event. Okay, this is not current. This is not for October. I want to be real clear about that. We're not saying that we have the waivers yet for October, but from the last event, that's what we had. You see the orange area up top in the image. If we can scroll the image up a little bit, you'll see a little bit more clearly. We gotta go the other direction. There you go. So the orange area up there, we need waivers from the property owners directly to the north. And this orange area is critical. This is our security screening area. This is our security kiosk. And the red line that runs off to the east, that's the access road easement to the property. So you've got to have waivers from the neighbor to the south of that access road and the neighbor to the north of that access road. Right now, we're working very closely with the neighbor to the north to try to work out an arrangement where we don't have any issues. Neighbors to the west, northwest up here, they have not had any problem with us that we know of. They haven't raised any problem, and they've been forthcoming with waivers. Neighbors to the southwest, we've had a good relationship with, and we have agreements with. And neighbors to the south, we either don't need a waiver from, or we have gotten them in the past. So right now, we're working with the neighbor to the north and the neighbor to the east to make sure that their reasonable concerns, if any, are satisfied. Now, you'll see that the event space itself is almost all more than 660 feet away from the neighbor to the east. All you have is that little bit of road and the access easement that's within 660 feet of the neighbor to the east. There's really not very much of an impact there, except for traffic getting onto the property and leaving the property for an event. The event itself, most of the camping, all of the active mud bogging is well beyond 1,000 feet from the neighbor to the east. We need to work with those neighbors. We want to be good neighbors with them. We want to be good to the community, and we're doing so. So I want to assure you all of that. We're actively working on that. If we could pull up the other aerial, I appreciate it. This is the access road. And I hope you'll forgive me, the number in the middle that says 22, that should be 42. But those blue lines with the numbers show you widths, drivable width of the access road. Now, the biggest trucks that come in there are 11 foot, 8 inches wide. They're bringing in big semi-trucks. So you got to assume that you need 12 feet per lane of traffic. And you'll notice, as we get close to the property, 42 feet is as wide as that road is. That gives you room for 3 lanes, barely. Barely 3 lanes. They divert families with children off to the side to get appropriate waivers and get them all screened and tagged in and make sure that everybody's identified and kept safe. They have to maintain an egress lane for fire safety purposes, which they do. And we're working with our neighbors to make sure that those of them who have or need access along this road can get it and can get in and out of their property during events. We're talking about historically two events per year where there's traffic that's heavy from maybe Wednesday night to Friday morning, and then maybe Sunday going out. All right, so 3 or 4 days, and we're working with them to do things like have a guard keeping the access to that gate open. And this just shows you an example of the access gates on that easement for the neighbor to the north. We'll keep a guard at the one that's closest to the entrance to Iron Horse, which would be the farthest to the west, to keep that drive open. The cars get stopped before they get in front of that gate, and they don't get to go forward again until there's room for them to pass fully across that entrance. During the late hours of 12:01 to 7 a.m., we'll have cones blocking that area off to make sure that nobody loiters there, nobody parks there. So I hope you'll see that we're doing everything that we can to be reasonable, to be good neighbors, and to try to benefit the county. We're working very hard to make this happen. We believe it's a benefit to the citizens, to the community, to the county as a whole, and we just appreciate your support in continuing this tradition, which is really unique around the country, and it's an asset to y'all and to this county. Do you guys have any questions for me that I can answer?
I got one.
Yes, sir.
So you working with Mr. Henry Lee, you don't think you might get that worked out?
We're very hopeful. We've sent a proposal to his attorneys. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but we sent a proposal to his attorneys, one of whom's here today. Very reasonable folks, good folks, and we're working with them really hard to try to make sure that we're happy to do what's reasonable to make sure that that particular neighbor can have access to his land, which is a reasonable request, and to make that happen. And if that's all we need to do, then I think we're going to be great.
So do you have any kind of time frame on the possible agreement?
We were hoping to have something for you by today, but by the next workshop we basically have to fish or cut bait on October before the next workshop comes out. So we'll have an update for you then, one way or the other.
So if you guys are able to make that agreement between your firms, I'm assuming, and clients, then that would still give time to proceed with the October event.
That's right.
Just get approved per the board. Was that part of the?
No, we have to get our application in with the waivers.
But that would give you
Yes.
what you need.
That would give us what we need.
And there will still be time for advertisement and what's necessary marketing-wise.
But after the end of next month, it starts to get tight, and we start to have to look at other options for how we can handle the situation, because after that, it becomes very difficult to adequately market, advertise, and actually get people down here. Folks have already had to cancel their vacations once. Those of y'all business owners, you know how it is. If you become unreliable, you lose them. So that's where we are. We're trying desperately to do it the right way. And we just ask for y'all's support and appreciate y'all's understanding and support.
Okay, and you represent the Larson.
I represent the Larsons of Iron Horse.
Is that an attorney right there?
Yes, sir. My name's Ian Buchkowski. I represent Henry Laura Lee, the landowners north of Mudbog.
And Mr. Pachowski's been a pleasure to work with, and we've worked well together, and I think we're both cautiously optimistic, at least, that our clients are going to be able to come together.
I would agree. After all the representations Mr. Bingham's made to the board today have been accurate. Him and his colleague, Mr. Niles, when they got on board, I believe in January, the conversation's been much more productive. Ray Curtis is also an attorney that's represented the Lees. So we've been working. We've had 3 or 4 meetings, and we have a proposed agreement going back and forth. We expect to have a solution soon. We'll have an answer for the board one way or another. so plans can be made.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions I can answer for y'all?
I don't have any question, I just appreciate you guys working and trying to work through this, to come to a solution from
Absolutely.
your side, and we're hopeful that you can. I mean, obviously, I've said it before, that event is a big deal for our community. You know, we don't have many things that, many resources that attract folks to our community, and we got a Florida Forest Festival, we got a Fiddler Crab Festival, we got a mud bog, and we got a sports complex. So we're hopeful that you guys are able to work through this, and able to keep this moving.
Well, you can bet we'll be doing our best. And we appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I don't know if y'all wanted to hear from our side just briefly, or you just wanted to, okay. My name's Ian Fitzgerald, I previously mentioned that. Me and Ray Curtis represent Elise, they're the north landowners. And as I mentioned previously, Mr. Bingham and Mr. Niles from the law firm, they come from out of Tallahassee. When they got on board, we started going back and forth, progress was made. I just want to reiterate to this board that we have represented Elise since October of 2019, and we've been trying to have a neighborly solution to this issue. And we were dealing with prior counsel for the Larsons for a while, and that was basically unsuccessful. And then I personally spoke to Mr. Larson numerous times. But now that the Larsons have representation, we are making progress. There's a lot of red lines going back and forth, and we hope to have a neighborly solution. So that's just my brief statement that there has been progress made. Hopefully we can have a solution to this. So if y'all have any questions for me on behalf of the league, I'll be happy to answer. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Number 5, Commissioner Newman to discuss renaming Fire Station 7 and CNAC after Chad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I have spoken with the Reed family, and, this is an effort to give due recognition to their son's service with his career course. For folks that may not be aware of that, he actually was killed in the line of duty down in Dixie County as he was employed for that law enforcement agency. So his career and the service that he committed over that time frame was through emergency management, which included first responders, and so that crossed and impacted a multitude of agencies and individuals. So this would be an effort in behalf of his service and recognition for such, to honor that service that he committed in this community down in Steinhatchee. It's, I think, very, very fitting that this honor would be bestowed upon Mr. Reed and his family for the sacrifice that he and his family have made. So I'll be glad to take any questions in respect to that.
Is he the one that the bridge is named after?
He is.
I have no problem with it myself. He well deserved it being put in his name.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have an issue with recognizing and doing things such as this for folks. I know with the individual mentioned here, we do already have a location, recognizing this individual for his services, being the bridge, for the services and in memorial of his service. With these fire stations, we've got firefighters that go to these fire stations day in and day out. I'm not taking nothing away from anyone at all. I mean, every one of them deserves recognition for what they do. But we also have firefighters. We really have one of our own here that lost his life, Mr. David Williams.
Yes, sir.
That he woke up and went to fire stations every day. And I think would deserve some sort of recognition to a fire station. You know, especially if we've got one that we've already got some recognition for the officer. You know, he's not being left, behind, or, we did just name another fire station after, and I'm not gonna say that was wrong. You know, like I said, one of our retiring commissioners, not gonna say that was wrong, but just, we've got firefighters that go to these fire stations day in and day out, and do deserve some recognition such as this.
Certainly, I'm glad you brought that up. Mr. Reed was part of the volunteer firefighter effort in Steinhatchee. He fought alongside, and was participating as a young man, a boy, actually, with his father. So, my position with this, and speaking and talking with the Reed family, I'm very well aware that there was an agreement between Taylor and Dixie County to recognize Mr. Reed for his service as far as, I would say, in respect of law enforcement. But in respect to his service specifically in Steinhatchee, in respect to fighting fires and all of his efforts through emergency management, I continue to stand in support of naming this fire station in respect to Mr. Reed. As far as the opportunity, I don't really want to frame that as an opportunity, but as far as giving the recognition to David Williams and his family, I would stand in full support to name Station 1, the main station, the main hub in Taylor County, in respect to David Williams, and understanding with all clarity that he gave his life in the line of duty fighting fires on the scene of the fire, I believe, in 1997. So I personally knew him, I know his family, and I would have no problem whatsoever fully supporting the naming of that station in honor of his service.
I don't want to come across that I'm, don't respect what Mr. Reed did. I mean, I respect what they all do, as law enforcement. I'm just reiterating, and I hear you, in full support of recognizing, and not just David Williams individually, just in honor of all the firefighters, across the board at one of these locations. And my thoughts was, we did have a memorial set up with the bridge for Mr. Reed, that if we're gonna fire station, maybe we look at another opportunity for someone else to name a fire station after another, in honor of all firefighters, or in honor of, Mr. David Williams, whatever y'all want to do. I'm not disrespecting anyone in no kind of way.
Yeah. Conversations are good, and I'm pretty sure they would rather have their family there, that member there, rather than have a station named after them. But of all due respect, I hear the cry from both of you. I would want to do what's right. You mentioned Fire Station 1. Is that the main fire station down there? And David Williams is the one that went to the fire and was shot.
On the scene.
Yeah, okay. Hey. Might be something you can put on the agenda and come bring it back. I don't have a problem with it.
Well, I haven't spoken with Mr. Williams'
Yeah.
family.
Okay.
I have spoken with Mr. Reed's family. They are in full support of this recognition.
But we don't make no decision tonight, no way, do we?
No, sir.
Okay.
What you saying is, the main fire station, the airport, putting it in one of the name and the one that's in Hatchie in another one's name? I mean, is that what I'm hearing?
I support that, yes, sir. As long as Mr. Williams' family is in support of that, I would
We
caution
need to talk to
that
them
we
before.
that we have that conversation with his family to be sure. And that's why I did speak with Mr. Reed's family before bringing this to the board.
I got you. Okay. I'm fine with that.
Williams family, regardless if we did one, is there anything against doing Station 1 after a specific officer?
I don't believe so. I know that there was, I believe there is a small memorial set up there now.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. But I don't think that the station's actually been named after him.
I think it's just a memorial to recognize that he he was a fallen firefighter for, Taylor County Fire Service, and so, if the fire chief would like to speak to the Williams family or his folks, I would like to extend all respect possible, because I do think it's a very, should be a heartfelt and very, well-represented situation.
What I heard, Little Red wasn't even on duty that day, he just volunteered and went to help other people that were on duty, and that's when the tragedy happened. You know, he was a dedicated fireman.
Yes, sir.
Any more discussion?
If we, I was just trying to think back of, as far as I can remember, who all we have lost. And I remember the Williams, firefighter, and then I know that there was a Campbell, but I think he was a deputy
Patrol.
sheriff.
I have trouble.
Highway patrol, okay. And is there anybody else, Conrad? Can you?
You know, Skip McDonald, who, was a deputy, and
Dixie, and
I'll tell you a funny
County
story.
Line.
I'll tell you a funny story about Skip McDonald. Y'all want to hear it? He was a really good friend of mine. This was back in the 70s. So it was a long time ago. And he was rushing to Steinhatchee when a Goodyear tire blew out. And he ended up in the woods and died. And some of y'all that are old timers will remember a lawyer by the name of Don Dansby.
Yes, sir.
And see, now don't forget, now I said I was a good friend of Skip McDonald's. And it was what's called a products liability case because the tire blown out. And I looked up the first case on tire liability, and it was a case in 1939 in the Supreme Court that said you could collect for products liability. And I'm sitting in there in my office minding my own business and thinking, well, someday Skip McDonald's widow is going to come in and hire me to sue Goodyear. And I get a call from Don Dansby, who was probably 20, 25 years older than me. Really good guy. He says, Conrad, I know that you've got Ben Lindsay's old books, and I need to see, and this was before the internet and everything online and everything, you just had books. If you ever come to my office, you see all the books that we have. And he said, it was a 1939 case, and it involved Goodyear. And I said, you gotta be kidding me. he got the case from the widow, and he did a good job and got a verdict for her and everything like that. But yeah, Skip McDonald. There was some honors given to Skip McDonald as a result of that, because he was on duty. I mean, he was flying down there to get someplace.
It was near the county line.
Then there was another.
We lost a deputy when I was at the sheriff's office.
Then there was another road patrol guy that up in Jefferson County that he opened up a trunk and it had a bomb in it, blew over. It was a terrible situation.
Green, his last name was Green.
And of course, I remember Chad Reed. That was a very sad situation because there were some really bad guys that shot him while he was on duty as he was the chief deputy down there for Dixie County.
Yeah, we had another one in, I believe it was 2016, just before you get to the beach road, that I believe he might have run into a log truck or something, so.
So local deputy Scott Williams.
Yeah, so, yeah, and then, yeah, I was just trying to think of who all we've lost.
You just lost, and, even you got Robert Kelly. He was the fourth man.
Yeah.
London.
John Roberts' son.
That's correct. Well, it's his grandson.
Grandson?
Yes, sir. I mean, my thing about this recognition is, I don't want to take anything away from any of these individuals. They're all heroes. These are individuals that are hometown, homegrown heroes like we just talked about, Sheriff Paget, about having these kind of folks on staff. These are hometown folks. These are folks that lived in Steenhatchee. These are folks that lived in Taylor County. I wouldn't take a thing away from any of those folks who served on state agencies. I think they are very deserving of every respect that they're given. So this is just an effort, in my understanding, talking with the Reed family, understanding his service in Steenhatchee at the fire station, and in that capacity that he served in as a emergency management, and also as a firefighter at UT. So he just had such a career that was cut way too short, in my view. So that's what this effort would be in respect to honor his contributions to the firefighting and EMT side of his service.
Any more discussion?
I mean, I just like to understand is, was staff going to check with Mr. Williams' family? Would you like to?
I just brought that up as myself. Now, I can talk with the family. I just brought that up as we're recognizing people. We have a lot of folks in our community.
Yes, sir.
Hand in hand, went through, you single one out, then you got 10 more that's, well, why not me?
I would not single one out. I think that
It's
not very.
not meaning that you're purposely singling someone out. I'm just saying we've got, as a whole, in honoring our law enforcement firefighters as a whole and what they do across the board. Fallen officers, fallen firefighters, or even active duty officers. That's all I don't mind talking to the Williams family if we did see that there was some kind of recognition we could do, but I don't want to, start a conversation like that. I'll get with staff. Okay, after this meeting.
All right. Any more discussion? We go to 8, vote to discuss golf cart rentals in the Keaton Beach area. Who wants to start that?
Yeah, I had, some folks, bring up this issue in the sense that the ordinance allows for golf cart rentals in Steenhatchee in respect to that being a golf cart community, and, question was posed if it were a possibility for other areas to be included in the potential for golf cart rentals.
For potential golf cart use or for, golf cart rentals?
Rentals, the use is extended in the ordinance.
Yeah, I see the use. I mean,
We approved the one for, Steenhatchee sometime back.
Right, but that doesn't include the potential in Keaton Beach.
Or Spring Warrior.
I mean, for me, if somebody wants to start a
Business.
golf cart rental business, it's no different from starting in town. Somebody's got an ATV business in town.
I certainly support it, but this board has to make that concession in the ordinance.
If somebody feels like they can, I mean, we've got locations that are okay to operate golf carts at the beaches, so if somebody feels like they can open up a business and make some money in the golf cart rental business, I'm all for it. I don't have a problem.
There are a lot of golf carts in, Keaton Beach. Most everybody has a golf cart, and the ones that come in, a lot of people that come there bring their golf carts down there too. I don't have a problem with that. The only problem that I have is I wonder if we should change the speed limit, lower the speed limit from through there all the way down to Hodges Park and around there, because the more golf carts you have, I'm telling y'all, people fly down that road. They go down there fast, very fast. And I don't know how much good that would do, only if there is an officer there that he can point to that speed limit sign when he gives that ticket, if they'll give a ticket. That's the only concern that I have. I'm all for it. I don't care. If somebody wants to start a business, that's fine with me. whoever, and the beach is a fun place to have a golf cart. We use ours there all the time. It's a lot of fun to ride around on that golf cart. But, I'm really afraid of the way people speed down there, that road, and they do.
Sure.
And we've got children out that's walking on the side of the road. Now, you know, I've talked about this before. You know, we've discussed it, we've discussed all kind of things, and to be honest with you, nothing has changed. People are still speeding down that road, and, I'm just glad that nobody has been injured, and I hope it doesn't happen. So, could we could lower the speed limit if we decided to, right?
I don't think so.
What we really need is to lower the speed limit, now we need a sign like I see in other towns. It picks up the speed you're going and goes to flashing if you're going past that speed limit. And that, to me, that really gets my attention.
Slow down.
All the signs you pass doesn't really get the attention. That sign that picks up your speed goes to flashing if you speed.
Well, it's a wonderful idea, but go down to Horseshoe, and how many times ours has gotten shot out? I mean, it must have, it's more than on one hand that folks have shot those things out. And,
Well, if it was right there by the boat ramp, right there where the road turns to go to Cedar Island, if you had that blinking light right there, chances are, or right there at the corner store intersection, chances are we'll never get shot out right there.
Well, you need one on down there
ours is at the
on down there
Cadillac.
about halfway before you get to Hodges Park. Because they pick up speed down there, I'm telling you. I could sit on my porch or be out in the yard when I'm down there, and I'm telling you, day and night. And there's all kind of children down there. And I've told y'all before, how many people are using Hodges Park is unbelievable, and all the children. And, the speed is a sign. Now, I think that would be worth a try, Commissioner Moody. But I put more, I wouldn't just put them there, because you need some on down there, maybe two.
Yeah, by the humpback bridge, by the bridge down there, another one maybe.
And another one, if it will help. But if they give out a few tickets down there, keep giving those tickets out. And I've seen the highway patrol down there giving out tickets. And at one time I saw, I've seen the sheriff's department, but it's just a real problem. But, so I'm for the golf carts. I want to change that speed limit and put those signs up that you're talking about.
Well, we start with just the regular signs to see if that'll work, and I'm not sure, our engineer might have suggestions as far as other ways to get people's attention. I know we talked about curves and things like that, illuminate signs or draw attention or whatever it might need. I'm not sure what the costs are.
I'm not there, I'm sure they're not like a regular fine.
Right.
Because you got to have electricity and there's gonna be the technology and that's fine.
Solar operated. Now, if you're going to go to Tallahassee and you cut through Connor Boulevard there, we all know that.
That's right.
And they've got some all along there, and it'll tell you your speed, and if you're going too fast, it'll say, slow down.
It catches my attention better than any other sign on the road, is what it does to me now.
Makes you think somebody's looking at you. That's, what would you recommend the speed? Probably the 15?
What is it now?
What's
Change it to 15.
What's the school zone?
Of course, you're gonna have residents that's gonna,
I
you
believe the
have to
school
have,
is 20. Isn't the school 20?
huh?
The
The
school
school zone is 20, isn't it?
It's, 15, isn't it?
When the lights are flashing.
I believe it's 15, but,
Well,
I don't know what some of the residents, I don't live there year round, so. And I know there's a difference if you live there a whole time versus if you just, go when you get ready every now and then.
They're breaking the law.
Well, they're not doing 25.
they're not adhering to the sign limit.
Is that something we would need to have probably have a public hearing to change that speed limit just to, or
That's a good
not?
idea to do that.
Get the best information and feedback.
The
The residents that are there year round, probably not gonna be happy with it.
Well, they've got family down there too, and they walk.
Sure.
some of the people that live there won't, but then I don't know, you don't ever know what
There's
people
not a-
will say.
I could agree, not a sidewalk down there, Mr. Chairman, but maybe that's something that needs to be looked into.
I could agree up to Hodges Park would probably need to be a reduction of, I don't know that you would get much lashback there, but I could see getting lashback if you tried to change much heading in the Steenhatchee direction.
Years ago, they had speed bumps put on the road going down Hodges Park. They didn't last for no time, people pulled them up out of the asphalt.
You got to have humps instead of bumps, and you can't pull up a hump. But I know that the people down there don't want humps.
No, they
I can
don't.
stop it though, but I know they don't want that.
I was told one time when I asked for the city, that if my brother fell off a gurney on the hammer, because he ate one of those bumps, somebody's gonna pay.
Yeah,
Let's check
mine
into
over
the
there had
cost of the lights and,
an issue. They had an issue in my look, I think it was, where the hump got first on a motorcycle. And they sued, I believe that was where it wasn't, Mr. Conrad?
Yes, sir.
Live oak. And that kind of broke me from wanting to put speed bumps anywhere.
but you know, most of them have the signs, speed hump ahead. Speed hump ahead, I mean,
They help.
you know,
Well,
it seemed like to me,
strips
if you had that sign there, I mean, anybody could sue anytime they get ready to, it's just a matter if they can win or not, right, Conrad?
Yeah. I found in my experience that the rumble strips are better than the speed bumps. For some
They're
reason.
loud, and residents.
They're
don't
real
see them
loud.
Like that.
Real loud, you know, they're real loud ones.
They go like that.
I may come out in a public hearing. I mean, I'm not opposed to the reduction in speed, that helps the safety factor there. But I think we could probably have a from the residents, the folks that have had near misses, they're gonna say.
Okay.
What happens, you'll hear from the people that are against it, but you won't have too many people that have come forward that's for it. Usually that's the way it happens.
Wayne Page's got people writing tickets now, speed tickets, so he'll work with us. If we get the speed limit lowered and get some signs up, he'll help. I'm sure he will.
All right, I mean, if residents there with the rate that it's at, folks are exceeding that, would be an improvement, I would say. You know, I mean, I don't mean that critically, I know those folks are all over the place, and I respect that. He's talking about the shortfall that he has with that, but just that presence there, whether it be FHP or FWC or, say, the county sheriff's office, tends to have a, impact, let's say.
Okay. You need to go further?
Oh, no, I mean, we can move forward on allowing an opportunity there for runners to keep the beach, and I'll talk to staff about trying to get that process moving.
Well, that will take, Conrad will have to amend the ordinance for that. To add golf cart rentals at Keaton Beach.
Yeah, y'all got to instruct me to do that at the regular meeting. You know, I think, let's see, how many golf cart ordinances have I done over the years?
25?
No, not that many.
Does it feel like 25?
Yeah, I remember, you know, there was some opposition to rentals. It's, in the Steenhatchee, part of the ordinance. There was people for it, and there were people against it, you know?
You know what that was? The marinas down there were already renting. And so they got people to come up here and complain, because the local people were already renting. I mean, this fellow was about town.
Yeah, I
Best I can remember that, you know.
And what they argued too, if you remember, I'm sure you do, is that they would be going over the bridge.
Right.
And remember, that seemed to be the focus, of their argument against it, is the people going across the bridge.
Well, he was gonna put his business on the Dixon County side and rent them, and then they were gonna be crossing the bridge coming
That's
over
right,
the marinas
that's
and stuff. That was the,
That was the kicker.
yeah.
Before we open it up for rentals, I think we do need to, look and, see about, have it hand in hand, speed limit, possibly, signs, possibly, just to make sure that we, are focusing on safety as well as, entrepreneurship and fun too.
But, I mean, it is rated as a golf cart community, and that speed limit's reflected as such, aren't it?
Say so if it's 25.
I thought that was the requirement, to be listed as a golf cart community in those areas. For the safety factor, for.
So, I could place on the agenda for the next meeting, the board to discuss the golf cart ordinance. And then, in the meantime, I'll try to work with engineering or the public works director to ask them the questions about the speed limit and the flashing lights. Because, I don't believe lowering the speed limit in one particular area would be a contradiction of the golf cart ordinance. But we can check into that, if you want this to be placed on the next agenda.
Yes, please.
Okay.
And
Let me ask you this, I see that, I got Eakin Phoenix, Spring Warrior, and more we've been talking about is Keaton Beach. Is that gonna change the whole dynamic?
I think that's where the, you know,
The demand, maybe
maybe
is.
that's where the rental opportunity has come up, you know, and that Keaton Beach, 'cause that, you know, that's our main canal, main channel, where all you out-of-towners, probably a lot more of your rentals are taken, and, giving folks the opportunity to rent a golf cart if they don't have, I have a lot of family that comes in and they'll rent, you know, places around the beaches and they don't bring golf carts, and they actually, you know, they'll go up to Jack Boats, and I don't even think he rents golf carts, but they do get him to rent them a golf cart for a week while they're there. When he had golf cart, I don't know if he had them anymore, but they got him, he's allowed them to rent a golf cart from him for a week, so. He's not really in the business of renting, but he did.
Well, tell me something, that, golf cart, ATV, one hold 4 people, the other one hold 4. One could be powered by gas, one could be powered by battery.
Both could be on the.
Yeah, they both could be. But we don't allow ATVs in golf cart communities. It's restricted to golf carts. And the way the ordinance is written, I don't know if this answers your question, but if there are, allowances for golf cart renting, that would be an exception to each area. Is that correct, Conrad?
And there are a lot of, golf cart owners at Deacle too.
Sure.
Quite a few around there, so I don't know if you.
Yeah, but the exception will be inclusive of these golf cart communities.
I think the beaches, the way that it's written in the ordinance. Right, Conrad?
I don't remember. I've done so many of them, I can't remember all of them.
We need any money.
I believe it's the beaches area.
Okay, I don't have a
Remember
problem with
every
that.
day from, it doesn't matter how long ago it was.
That's in 8, the first page, 8 beaches
Yeah.
areas.
Yes, and it includes Deacle, Ezel, Keaton, and Cedar, and Dark Island.
There's a whole list of roads and everything at one time, too.
Yes, that was in Steenhatchee.
Yeah, a whole list, I mean.
I mean, if someone were at.
Over and over.
They got used to that.
They rent jet skis now and all kind of stuff all over Santa Fe River the other day, and I saw a jet ski rental business over there at Santa Fe River.
Did you have one?
I didn't rent one.
Oh.
I've been on one time, and I got towed off of it faster than I'm not a jet ski operator. I figured you could figure out how to run one real fast, but I didn't. Didn't work.
Be a good swimmer.
You gotta turn it doing about 50 in the street or something.
Been there, done that too.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about that. Catch me in the water, somebody got some scratches on me.
You was hanging on.
I'm trying.
Leave your mark.
What a little humor won't do.
Well, our son ski and go around in those creeks back over there behind Keaton Beach between Keaton and Cedar Island. And they would ski through there. And of course, some of them, when he went around those curves a little bit too fast, the skier wound up out there in the marsh. We got all kinds of stories about that.
But I think we have found a problem to our seagrass. I was looking at Delaware this morning, and they were eating that seagrass. They were harvesting it and eating it.
Oh, you mean the seagrass on the beach?
Yes.
Oh,
So somebody knows how to grow seagrass?
I grow it, we just gather it.
Yeah.
I know, we're gonna keep doing that, because I think Mr. Plonker has been doing some studies about the shortage of it out there, so we better be careful.
All right, Mr. Wonder. Project list?
If I could, on the master project list, I actually have, some good news, with all the dismal news we have received lately. If you'll look at page, 3, under
You have an
funded.
extra copy? You have an extra copy?
I'm sorry.
If you don't, it's okay. It's all right if you don't. You got a copy?
Under funded with start date, there's a new entry, and it's USACE floodplain management services study. I don't know if the board recalls, but back in 2019, we did send a letter to the Army Corps of Engineers requesting consideration for floodplain management services flood mitigation study. And at that time, that was right after all the flooding in Steinhatchee. So that was what was on our minds. Well, almost a year and a half later, we were notified by the Army Corps of Engineers that we had been allocated $150,000 of funding for the study to be performed. We had a kickoff meeting with them on April 23rd. I'm very excited about this project because this will, staff will identify potential areas where we've had flooding and that we need some help with. And it will take about 18 months for them to go through the process. They'll work very, very closely with our engineer. But what this will enable us to do, if I understand everything correctly, is we can take the results of these studies, and it'll be about 30% complete as far as the studies needed for construction. But we can take this information to other granting agencies, to funding agencies, and ask for grants to help realize some of the projects that will come out of this. So I did want to draw your particular attention to that as a new item. If you will look throughout this list, you will see that quite a few projects are on hold, pending work squad. And just to be completely transparent, it's not just the fact that we don't have work squads, it's the fact that the material costs are so high right now that what I would ask of the board is that we can maybe delay some of these projects, especially some of the projects for the roll-off sites, and simply roll the funding over until next budget year and wait and see if some of these material costs come down, see what happens with our work squads. During the next agenda, we will ask the board to consider an amendment to our current work squad contract with the sheriff. That would give us another work squad, and I think give us some breathing room as far as the maintenance that we are in charge of, but may also be able to realize some of the smaller projects. But I don't think we're going to be in the position to construct a lot of these projects this year because we budgeted for materials, we did not budget for labor. So even if we were to contract these projects, if we could find a contractor who could hire employees to get these projects done, which is a little up in the air right now, we don't have the budget for it. And that's something that's information that we did give our legislators, when there was discussion of possibly closing prisons. And so that was a budget impact that I discussed with our legislators. It's not just losing our work squads, it's the fact that they save us a sizable amount of funding every year with the labor that they provide us for these construction projects. So we will work through this process during the budgeting process, and we will continue to make the progress that we can. But unfortunately, I think that we're going to be in a holding pattern with some of these projects for a while.
Understood.
Just one question, if I could, it's on the same page, but about the realignment on Deadman Code, is there, and that's not to do with supplies or such, but is there any kind of update or progress with that possible?
Yes, I believe the last time we checked that our engineer was finishing some of the legal descriptions. Once those are complete, then our attorney will start working towards the property acquisition negotiations. And then, once we obtain the property, then we can go to DOT and ask for the funding.
Understood.
Did you have any additional questions? Okay, thank you very much.
I don't have a question on this, but, you know, I'm just sitting here thinking, when we start our budget process, everything that we're, just on our division, what we're facing, how are we gonna work through these other huge requests like we had tonight? I mean,
Well, I tend to be somewhat of a linear thinker, so
yeah.
I tend to be somewhat of a linear thinker. So I don't know that we can move forward with much of anything until we know how our property values are going to come in. Now, the last I heard, our real property, we were in good shape, but I don't know about our tangible. And if you recall, that's about 50% of that particular revenue stream. So we are waiting to see right now.
That could really mess it up.
But I think we're on solid ground as far as our revenue. We were quite cautious during the last budget work sessions. As you know, we did not budget all of the available revenue. We, for lack of a better word, we saved part of that money, knowing that this next process could be a challenge. That's always a good position to have. Our reserves are strong. We will have some CARES Act money that is unallocated. We also do have some funding at some point that will be available for the American Rescue Plan. It appears that the use of that fund will be for, at least part of it can be used for infrastructure. So if we have to think out of the box as far as our funding, I think we have some options that we can work with, at least to get through the next year. The concern I have is that, and obviously, if one agency wants to give substantial salary increases, then I would, the obvious expectation would be that other departments, other agencies will have the same request. So typically the way we budget is that we don't include any salary increases, but we always have those numbers available if the board wishes to consider salary increases. So that will be something that we'll have to work through as we go through the process.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, one thing I learned from Annie Mae was keep those reserves very healthy.
Yes, and I believe
You don't
that.
ever know
And that's something
What's
that
gonna
our auditors always bragged on us about, is out of all the counties that he audits, Taylor County we've always did really good with our reserves. And so, and we're actually getting ready to we start our budget process around the first week of May, so we're actually getting ready to start that next week.
We're gonna have to go up on some money to even get some help. Nobody's even applying for jobs, is what I'm hearing for the county.
But
No.
it's not just the county, I would say.
It's everywhere, yeah.
Well, no, what I was going to say is that I think some of our contractors are feeling that, I know some of our contractors are feeling that pressure as well, and are concerned about being able to complete contracts, because instead of paying people their, straight time salary, they're facing overtime because they cannot recruit employees to do the job. So I think that, as far as our operations, if we were able to sign on another work squad with the sheriff's office, that would make me more comfortable. And then we will start recruiting for custodian this week. We do actually have a job description that was already approved that we can utilize. And we have a little bit of time before we start getting very, very busy. But my concern is if we're not able to fill that position or those positions, and we try to outsource that service, I'm not entirely sure that we will be successful. We're not budgeted for it. So that will be a challenge, not just for next year, but through the remainder of this year.
Well, we gotta quit paying people to stay home, where it's more beneficial to stay at home than it is to go to work. Hopefully that'll change before long.
Well, I did reach out to workforce development, to Diane Head, and they are willing to do a job fair for us in several weeks. Hopefully that will help, but she voiced similar concerns that with the way unemployment payments are structured, that's acting as an incentive, unfortunately, maybe acting as an incentive for people not to apply for jobs because they don't necessarily have to in order to receive their unemployment.
There's not I thought that was a deadline on that.
There is, I don't,
Is it open-ended now?
I thought it was open. I don't know. I thought the governor turned it all open.
They ain't turned it all over some people, I know. They might turn it over some.
I think it extended until what, July?
I believe it was extended once again, so,
I mean, why would a $10, $11, $12 an hour, person go apply for a job for $10, $12 an hour, they can get $400 or $500 a week when they can sit at the house and make that plus?
and some of our seasonal
Is
positions.
it $500 a week? Yeah.
Some of our seasonal positions only pay minimum wage, which is $8.65 an hour.
Okay.
So,
Sleeping employee.
And they were wanting to go up another $100. Was it a week?
Yeah,
$100 a week.
375 to 375, state unemployment. But there's the feds.
Mm.
so we will, go through the process and see how it all shakes out, and I'll keep y'all informed as I hear the information.
They've been talking about doing another stimulus check too. I heard on TV about that.
I heard that.
I don't know where they going with all that. That's amazing.
Anything else?
I want to say one thing. I got a text a while ago from Mr. Joe Sullivan. They own a place down there on, that Spring Warrior over there on the Strickland Landing Bridge Road. And that's in your district, Michael. You once you cross the bridge there on Spring Warrior, goes into your district, goes out of mine. He went down there and hired somebody to lime rock the road from his property line into his house. And the last time something was done there, people complained they thought the county did it. So he wants you to know, and wants all y'all to know, if you hear somebody saying that the county's been down on that private road, that he kept saying, oh, it wasn't the county that put the lime rock and done the motor grade. He went down there one time and took a box blade on a tractor and graded the road, and I got called 2 or 3 times, and had to go down there, go down there with me and look, and then you could tell it was a box blade tractor, the tractor tires there, you know. But people were accusing the county of doing it. So, I just want y'all to be aware of that, he just sent me a text. You know, you can hear from anybody, you can tell them that Sullivan's actually did that.
Anything else? Mr. Bishop?